Hey guys, so I got this LED ambient light upgrade kit for the F10, and the instructions that came with it, as well as anything that I was able to find on YouTube, was pretty shitty and disappointing. On top of all that, the kit that came in, as well as the instructions, are actually meant for a car that does not already have ambient light. So this is supposed to be the main driver switch, which has a really long wire that you're supposed to disassemble the kick panel, run wires through the door jamb, through the door frame, and do a whole bunch of shit in order to get the driver door to work. And there's a much easier way than that. On top of everything, every video that I saw, as well as the instructions that I've received, do not show how to hook up the 9th LED strip that came with it. That's supposed to be right above the glove box compartment. It's included in the package. It's in all their pictures, photos, videos, but mysteriously nobody wants to tell you how to install it or where to plug it in. So we'll work on that as well. Now the passenger door, as well as both rear doors, are very simple and straightforward. You have the switch, you have the wires that you're going to run through the door, and out back you have 4 connectors coming out. 2 small connectors are going to your new LEDs, the LED strips. The large connectors, these 2 large connectors, they are basically a bridge for your window switch. So you have your window switch right there, just yank it out, plug this one into the window switch, plug the original wire into this, and that's it. So this is the existing fiber optic that needs to be removed. You'll need to get rid of that, as well as the bracket, this plastic that's holding it on, because these tabs, and it's got a little lip on it, will block the light output from the LEDs when you put it on. Fiber optic is pretty easy to remove, actually. Just pop out all of these. Now with the door panel off, what you want to do is disconnect power to this. Then if you turn it, it will all just slide out. And that's actually the same idea for the bottom one in the tray. There's your connector. Just unplug it, twist, and pull. This may or may not pop off. If it does, oh well. This is your fiber optic. You can grab it and just pull it out of your slot. There it goes. That's all there is to it. So when you pull your LEDs through this slot that's already existing, it's your door. This little slip is where the existing fiber optic was, and that thing actually spreads. There's a lot more space inside than the lip that you see on the outside. So this thing needs a little bit convincing, but it will actually fit perfectly in there. Kind of hard to do with one hand. There you go. So as you can see, it fits. I'll only put half of it in there, but you can work it into the slot. That way you don't have to worry about double-sided tape and is something gonna get stuck on it, gonna get hung up on it. Just slowly, if you do this, just pry it off a little bit, and using two hands you can get this in the slot, and the installation looks nice and clean. This is the end result. Okay. You can't see the LEDs. So here's what we're going to do with the driver door. This is the switch that we got with a really long wire that's supposed to go through the door to your kick panel. Just cut it off. And we are going to splice these wires into the existing connector for the ambient lights, which we are no longer using anyways. If you can locate somewhere the female pin for this to make it really nice and clean, that would be perfect. I don't have one, so I'm gonna splice into it. And in case you're wondering, I believe the blue and red wire should be power. Let's see. Yep. That's it. Blue and red wires power. Brown and white is ground. And finally the glove box LED installation. So when you take your trim off, first of all, you still have the other piece of that really long wire that we cut off. There is one more connector. So we can go ahead and cut this one off. The LED is mounted, as you can see, just stick it on the bottom of the trim, and this one is actually different from the others because it has its own switch to toggle between red and orange, and there's two wires coming out of it. So we really don't need this one, but we do need the power wire. So like I said, this one is useless, not really being used. This little switch is the actual controller for this LED strip, and it gets direct power. Don't need this. You can grab this and just hook it up to the slider knobs, have power going through them. If you follow that power back, it goes both ways. There's one here, there's one in the middle, there's one on the other side. Essentially what you want is you have this red wire, you have the brown wire. So if we can one-handedly make these work. Just kidding, I cheated. And there is, don't know if you can see that, there's the blue LED. You can switch it to orange, and it works. Just clean up your wiring. We're gonna solder that in, wrap it, and that's it. And that is it, folks. As you can tell, it's still daylight outside, and these things are bright as hell. You can switch between blue and orange. I'm gonna leave everything orange. The only downside is there's no central switching between the colors, so each door has its own switch, plus the glove box has its own switch. So if you want to go blue, you gotta go click 5 buttons. The other thing that was nowhere mentioned and I was curious about, and I'm happy about, is the dimmer switch works perfectly fine. That blinking you see is just a video. It is not the LEDs. The LEDs do not blink. That's minimum. That's maximum during the day. And everything works perfectly fine through your regular dimmer switch. Cool. Cheers.